And welcome to Chart of the Day Cafe for Thursday, December 8th, 2016. Trading stocks is a high level of risk, and viewers should complete their own due diligence on any stock or underlying that they intend to own. 100% of the content of this video and communique is intended for journalistic and educational purposes only. This video and all indicators, strategies, and articles herein should not. So we always start our videos off with a look at the Russell Index. We do that because we want to make sure that the market is moving higher before we put any fresh charts forward. And for that we use the IWM, which is the ETF that represents the Russell 2000, and we step back to take a look at it on a 5-year monthly time frame. So we were paying particular attention to this blue channel that the Russell traded within through all of 2014. Had this little lift up and out, hit our light blue shaded line, sold off, but then price strength came right back in. We are now up and over that light blue shaded line. The candle for the month of November was bullish with volume, and so far for the month of December, same thing. We were keeping an eye on this wedge several weeks ago, saying the Russell was going to have to break out to make new highs. I'm going to get rid of that line now because it's cluttering my chart, and if you know me, I'm all about simple charts. We can put it back in later if we need to, but for now I'm going to take it away. So that's the monthly chart. Let's go take a look at the daily, see how it's behaving. So this is the same light blue line. As we note, price is up and over our 8-day EMA, I should say, which is this blue line. So with that price strength continuing, we will be putting a chart forward this morning. And so with the market in an overall uptrend and the IWM continuing to show strength, we are putting a new chart forward this morning. And that new chart is INVA Innovia Inc. It is in the drug biomedical sector. Let me tell you a little bit more about the company. It was formerly known as Theravance. They rebranded earlier this year. They are a biopharmaceutical company with a pipeline of internally discovered product candidates and strategic collaborations with pharmaceutical companies. I know Glaxo is one of those. You know what, Chart of the Day Cafe? It's all about value, and this one has a terrific value score, really, really high. Second thing I look for is growth. And Innovia has a forecasted earnings growth rate of 53%. The third thing I look for, can't always get, but in this case it is there, is a dividend yield. The dividend yield currently on Innovia is 9.53%. Wow. So growth, value, and dividend. For those of you that are PE people, the PE ratio on it currently is 9.99. I also want to point out Innovia had a sales growth increase last year of 146%. All of those are wow numbers to me. So let's look at the chart. INVA, you can see I've got it trading in a larger wedge. This is the 2-year monthly chart. What I want you to see on the monthly is the volume coming in right in the apex of my wedge here. So this is an area of support. I'm going to pull it out so you can see that a little bit better, but we're sitting at this area of support. The volume's coming in. It looks as though it wants to break out of this area. Should the market continue higher with those kind of fundamental metrics underneath it, I don't think it'll be ignored. Not making any recommendations, and I do not currently own this, but it's one for my watch list, and I wanted to share it with you. So let's move it away from the monthly to the weekly. So the first thing I want you to see is overall on the weekly chart, it's trending higher, and it's at this area where I would believe price will be supported. So let's take a look at this area that we're in right here, but I just want you to see overall on the 2-year chart trending higher. Let's move it into the smaller time frame, and you can see that the volume came in, it gapped up and made this gap, but it has now filled the gap. Should the market continue to show strength, keep an eye on this one for sure. I'm going to put my little green circle in there. And we do not have a 3 and 8 cross yet, but I would be looking for that 3 and 8 cross should the market continue to show strength in the days to come. Really like this chart. You know what we also like to do as part of our practice and check the boxes is to check the sector that Innovia is in. So for that, I'm going to step back to the 2-year weekly, and let's take a look at both XLV. And for that, I'm going to go back to my plain study. So this is the healthcare sector overall, 2-year weekly. Traded in this wedge. We're at this area. This is our area of support. We're not there, but I like the way it's behaving here. I like the way it had a strong week a few weeks ago, and now it's creating this sort of wedge formation on the smaller time frame. Forgive me for marking up the chart so much. I like to keep my charts uncluttered, but healthcare overall is trading in this pattern that should the market continue higher, I would expect that it would pick up here. Let's move away from the 2-year weekly to the 6-month daily. So you can see that little pattern that I'm watching, the hammer that we had yesterday. So should we have follow through? Healthcare is interesting to me here. So not only looking at that, but let's go look at the IBB, which is the biotech. And same thing. Let's go back to the 2-year weekly. Same sort of formation happening here. I like the way it's sort of taking its time, but looks like it's basing here. We're looking at the weekly, but let's go take a look at the daily. There we go. So again, INVA. Should this sector start to pick up, this one has every reason to go higher. We will see. I don't know. Anything can happen, but I really like this chart. So I'm choosing INVA Innovia for my Chart of the Day Cafe pick for Thursday, December 8th. Know that I always like to put more information about my picks in front of you, and I wanted to highlight this recent article on INVA. Hedge funds cannot get enough of INVA. This was published on December 7th, and you can see that they've got a chart here that shows hedge funds and their increase in ownership in this company. So I will include this article with today's video as well. And so to wrap up, we always like to go back and check the boxes. So checking the boxes for INVA, we looked at the market. The IWM is in an overall uptrend and price is up and over the 8-day EMA on the daily chart. The sector that INVA is in an uptrend on the 2-year chart. We looked at XLV and IBB, both ETFs that represent those sectors. INVA is in an uptrend on the 2-year chart and looks to be lifting off support. It has a great value score, really terrific. It has a great growth score with a forecasted earnings growth rate of 53%, a dividend yield of 9.53%. It does not have a 3 and 8 cross yet, so we're not going to check that box. Seasonality, could not find a seasonal chart for it, so no checking the box. But as we pointed out in our article, hedge funds are buying. PE of 9.99. As a reminder, I just wanted to say that as our picks move up and off support and they get a 3 and 8 cross, whether it's an old pick or a new pick, I'm going to try and post those in this discussion section. So yesterday I posted that our GPP heads up, GPP Chart of the Day Cafe featured chart for November 29th has a fresh 3 and 8 cross. This is the one that has a PE of 9.74 and a dividend yield of 8.94%. Nice. So I hope you check that discussion section whenever you can.